My love of horror web series really started with found footage ones. And for the first time in a while, I found a found footage series that has really intrigued me. It's one exploring a local town with someone delving into its past from tapes. The channel is called Tapes I Found at the Thrift Store. If you haven't watched the series so far for yourself, I really encourage it. It's a short watch as it really has just started. There's only a few videos and then just some community posts to follow what's going on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into a new found footage horror series on YouTube. The first tape is called Estate Sale, and it's the longest that we have so far. It starts us off with a news reporter of a place called Alawite. Her name is Erica Wersch. She says there's a city that's divided after someone named Arthur Langan took his own life. Some people celebrate it while others mourn. And in the wake of his death, his estate is having a sale. And has brought many people from both sides to go there and possibly buy some antiques. Which, I mean, who's wanting to buy this stuff? I feel like with the context, like, okay. I guess it's similar to the whole Ed Gein house thing. We then go to Ronald Gopher, who is at the sale, and we can tell this is a pretty low-budget local news.
Finds this weekend. Here's Ronald Gopher to tell us more about what you'll find for sale.
Hello, I am Ronald Gopher. I am an estate liquidator here in Alawite Creek.
He's an estate liquidator, and he is who is helping sell Langan's things. And we can see how he feels about Arthur for a split second, and it even comes back for a little bit. He then goes back to talking about what they're selling. And he mentions reels that haven't even been looked through yet, which if you think about how we're already in a found footage series, that's kind of an interesting find. For some reason, the guy has mini maps of the area. An interesting thing, though, is a suitcase from the scene of his, his exit game.
Prize of the weekend for me, at least, this suitcase which was found at the scene of Arthur's. Pretty neat.
We think it is really weird mention after they talk about Arthur having dolls.
I began to wonder at one point whether Langan was turning all those kids he kidnapped into dolls with how many.
So, that might not be good. The news station cut him off as well, and we then go back to Erica, and she seems pretty on edge.
Oh, well, thank you, Ronald Gopher, for showing us around the estate sale and for giving us a unique perspective of Mr. Langan's character. In fact, let's see what some of the patrons of the estate sale think of their finds.
She then sends us to the people who are there looking at the estate sale, and they have some interesting things to say.
Arthur Langan was the devil. As far as I'm concerned, every item in that house is desecrated objects, and whoever leaves with one is inviting evil into their homes. Did you buy something?
Again, that's another thing that's not good. Why we got some weird individuals out here. Which, I mean, what do you expect? We also hear Erica getting yelled at.
Fucking damn right! Ronald Gopher, why did we run this segment?
Thanks again, Ronald Gopher, for offering some unique insight.
Which I think is to capture how low budget it is, but also, again, how divided that whole like how intense that situation is around that person, and how they want to make sure they get things right, depending on the news station. But then we switch to a segment from November 7th of 1986. We see some creepy seance is getting set up as this guy calmly talks about it. And we can see it's the suitcase from before. And if we think about what happened, this must be the guy that bought it. We see a summoning literally going on. They ask for a sign, and it seems nothing happens. And they get upset. A dog then starts barking before he leaves the room, and when he leaves... Uh-oh. It seems that what he did actually had worked. And even when he comes back in the room, he once again thinks it didn't work, just for his dog to start barking again and then whimpering.
Hello? Dexter? Dexter?
So maybe summoning a demon, especially of this guy, was probably not a great idea. I mean, in general it's not, but that makes it even worse. I like how he says, as he runs, like, bruh, you literally asked for it. Eventually, it seems he has changed to being in some different place that's echoing, before we see a flicker of light showing what we can presume is Arthur based on the picture from before. So with that, we can start talking about what I think happened. So we don't have too much just from this entry alone, but what we can go ahead and assume is most likely this guy may have been possessed by Arthur, or at least, taken out in some way, as Arthur was already seen as like this evil figure just from the townspeople talking about him possibly having done stuff, to different people and kidnapping and things like that. So it seems he's already an evil figure. So why wouldn't he try to possess somebody that summons him? And also, what was he carrying in the suitcase? We'll get there, and I'll give my guesses. But at the moment, it seems that somehow this suitcase is attached to Arthur. And these people in the town are in, uprest. So now we can go to like our first community post. We end up finding out who our uploader is in the community post. Their name is Ben, and in their first post they just update us on their current situation. He says, after popping a new tape into my VHS player called Dance Party Instructions with Funkle Volume 2, I heard a loud popping sound, and the screen went blank. I assumed the VHS player just crapped out on me, but a few hours later I noticed this black sludge oozing out of the loading door, which we see in the image. It looks like some freaking, space goo or something. I don't know, but it looks pretty, interesting. Then as he came back, the entire tape had turned into the blob, and we can see it getting worse in the following pictures. He keeps going on about it and how it kept steadily changing, and that he even feels kind of paternal over it for some reason. That's not at all a bad sign. I mean, definitely doesn't give mind flayer or something. He decided to bury him in a hole and contact his friend, which we're going to talk about in the next video. Hi, I'm Ben is truly an introductory video to our uploader with a full video. He explains exactly what the channel is, and he just seems like a chill guy wanting to find some interesting history through these thrifted tapes. He's from the same town we heard about in the last video, and he also talks about how his area has a lot of legends and cryptids that are talked about around. He also talks about the blue hole. He even talks about his friends getting him to drink the water at the creek his town is named after that ran from the blue hole. But they say that it has an endless pit within it, and that also, whenever he drank out of it, it was really chunky, which, it was also a creek, so it was in mud. But he says the main thing is that some of these tapes have been very interesting, including the estate sale one he previously uploaded. He's trying to support the idea Alawite Creek is the weirdest town in the US. What is extremely interesting, though, is this.
So some of you might already know this, but one of my blank tapes actually exploded into this purplish glob that smelled like chocolate when I tried to play it in my VHS player. So that was a whole big thing.
So that we know is not normal. Like, what, as we talked about in the post, and his friend said he's gonna fix it, but obviously this is not normal. And the fact that, his friend said it smells like chocolate, what? But we also find out Ben buried the blob, like it said in the last post, and that enough people complained to him about it that he decided to go back out there and dig it up just to reveal.
This hole was completely filled over with dirt, but when I came back to check on it, it was all dug up, and all that was left were the 2 spools.
It's gone. So, either the blob is alive, or someone didn't want that to get out and decided to go find it. I don't really know which just yet, but I'll get to my guess later. But for now, we just have some missing goo, a friend who's working on the VHS, and also a guy who's just trying to find out some weird stuff within his town. Hopefully nobody will get in the way of that. In the next entry, Important Please Help, we have Ben talking about his friend Carlile, who was working on the VHS that exploded. He went missing and left a note about running away.
Video would spread a little better. So Carlile has been missing for a little while now. He left home and left a note behind, basically saying that he left, by his own will. So since he's an adult and that note was found, the police said they really can't do much about it.
Immediately after he checks on the VHS that the guy literally buried the goo from that went missing, he goes missing and he ran away. I don't know, man. I don't know. Seems like, there's some involvement, some government involvement going on in this town. Or, maybe there's a goo monster that spawned out of there again. I don't know, but he's gone. But I don't think the goo monster, would write a note. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he didn't run away. In a new post after this, we actually find out Ben gets a CRTV with VHS from his friends after they banded together to get it for him, which honestly is an awesome thing to do. Though he still hasn't heard from his friend Carlile. And we then see another post where he talks about finding new tapes. He says they're not as crazy as estate sale, but still odd. We then have this weird outburst where Ben says, "I don't think I can post this video. I don't think I can even post anymore, period. I never really believed any of this. I just thought it was fun to pretend. I'm not having fun anymore. If someone out there is messing with me, just come out and say it, because this is actually... I know all of you down in Alawite have it out for me. It's been years, and you all still look at me like I'm an animal when I walk down Main Street. I know you're all reading this too, because none of you can keep my name out of your damn mouths. Carlile told me so. If you people never want to see me again, just say the word and I'll never look back. Just tell me it's not real. Please, even if it is, just tell me it's not. Should have never bought these damn tapes. We can pretend I never did if that's what it takes. Just let me leave this behind like I should have years ago." He then comes back and apologizes for that outburst right after, which is a crazy turn. And to me, I feel like this wasn't coming from him, or if it was, I think it's just a sign to show us how maybe his mental state is slowly deteriorating looking at tapes. As we know this just isn't for fun. We knew this was for fun, but we knew that, he wasn't trying to post fake things. Something for him is going on. And like I said, he apologized right after, as if what he just said wasn't a complete, lambasting of the people around him. And also he's saying he talked to Carlile. I don't know. But with that, we can go to our final entry that we have up to this point before our last community post as well, which is private property. It's him bringing us a new tape that he thrifted, which you can tell that he's kind of reluctant to do so, as I'll get to in the next post. It's recorded on January 8th of 1995, and it has someone walking through this kind of neighborhood in the snow, or at least some kind of development. We see the private property warning as they continue going through. Eventually they go looking to a house, and we see something very interesting coming out of the sink faucet. The same kind of goo. Then... So clearly someone is staying there, and they're not a human anymore. They're some kind of a monster, amalgamation or something like that. Whenever our recorder is running away, as they're getting chased by the monster or human, we end up hearing a siren. And then we hear that this person is leaving a message for Sandy.
Sandy, if you find this, don't come looking for me. Just keep the tape safe.
The recorder seems to get attacked after they got chased. And eventually, it seems they either have purple goo in them as they pull the arrow out and we see it, or there was some on the arrow. And I feel like what we can already assume here is possibly that this place was some kind of shut down area that wasn't supposed to be available to the public. Maybe even like government controlled at the time. I'm not too sure. But I find it interesting that a siren just all of a sudden goes off as soon as that guy gets caught, like for the entire place, right? And then that monster or whoever was chasing him takes him out. So clearly he saw something that he wasn't supposed to see. And it seems like the town could possibly be covering it up, as we even see the goo from before just in the building. And now I can go to the last post. I didn't feel like referencing it before, even though it introduced our tape, but it's more about how he's going to take a break after it. He said, "The tape is set to premiere at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm going to take everyone's advice and log off for a while. I'll take that time to level my head, try to get the tape to the relevant authorities. I might check in every now and then, but I really just need to step away from this for a while. I've been a bundle of walking anxiety for the better part of a week, and worrying about all this right now is not helping in any way whatsoever. Thank you all for being so understanding. I'll be back." Since it's early on in the series, we don't have too much to go off of, but we still have some. It seems Ben was just deciding to go thrifting in his town that has stories of legends and cryptids, just for fun. As he goes and buys some, he finds some boring stuff, but then a estate sale. The main thing we get from a estate sale is, of course, the figure they're talking about, Arthur Langan, as well as the man that tries to bring his soul back. And it seems the suitcase did have some kind of substance possibly in it. It also discusses how Arthur kidnapped kids and maybe even turned them into the dolls in his house. We can also presume that the man in the video that did the seance most likely got possessed by Arthur. We then have Ben introduce himself, but also show that when he tried to watch a tape, it just exploded and turned into that purple goo protruding out of his VHS. The purple blob also started to take things in around the area and grow, but he kept it around before finally deciding to bury it, even though he had this paternal feeling over it. His friend Carlile takes the VHS to work on it and says that it smells like chocolate, but Carlile says he'd give Ben the diagnosis soon. While Ben is waiting, he goes back out to look for the blob just to see that it's completely gone from the area he buried it, and now it's missing. And at the same time, Carlile leaves a note saying he ran away and he also goes missing. So Ben asks for help, trying to get any lead to possibly finding Carlile. His family and Ben are looking for him to no avail. Then Ben seems to start obsessing over the tapes even more so. But then all of a sudden he has this very weird outburst, saying people know him and hate him, and that Carlile was right, and this city sucks and all these people hate him after all this time, before just going back to normal. Private property is then uploaded showing someone 9 years after the event of estate sale. They go through a place that is supposed to be guarded off, as private property. And they come across some horrifying, humanoid, monster looking thing. And also the same purple goo from before coming out of the sink. They're chased and tell Sandy to come find the tape as they know that their life is going to go away. And the person or the creature then ends up shooting them with an arrow. And when they pull it out, it's filled with purple goo all over it. And now Ben is taking a mental health break after watching this tape. And possibly some other ones he hasn't even shown. So I think first is what we clearly need to get to is Ben's mental health. And it's clearly being affected. Whether by the goo or the tapes, I'm not 100% sure. But it seems like he's not all there. Also, him getting mad at the community, hating him for all these years randomly, when he has never showed that, whenever he's never showed that himself, it reminds me of someone who may have been hated by the community years before, Arthur Langan, another Alawite native. And this happened after the purple goo was found. It was also said Arthur had changed to becoming a controversial figure, and when he took his own life, he had the suitcase. I think possibly the purple goo could have been in the suitcase and dealt with, before the person in estate sale did the seance and brought it back. He then got possessed, and it seems other people have started having the goo in them or around them. Now, what happened to Carlile? I think there's a chance he either got attacked by the goo or someone that figured out that he knew what was he was starting to figure out what was going on. He is literally someone who could have diagnosed the problem with the VHS and spontaneously goes missing also when the goo does. It's very odd timing, and I think it could be important at saying what happened, and this has obviously affected Ben. And I also think finding Carlile may be a good step in finding out what is going on with the goo. I think that if we ever come across a video of Ben finding Carlile or him finally coming back into the fray, I think there's a very high chance that that will be like a defining moment to figure out what may be going on with this goo, right? Either way, this is a town full of legends and cryptids, and it seems we have a new one. This odd alien goo from the past. I think there's a chance it feeds off of humans and can change their mental state. And I think as we get more tapes, we'll definitely be seeing that. And we'll be seeing the purple goo more, and maybe even Arthur Langan more. And maybe our specific little slime friend will come back. Overall, tapes I found at the thrift store is pretty new, but already a very intriguing series, capturing analog horror in its truest form of found footage. Though I think what is already so awesome is the audience interaction, and it reminds me of another series that I really love that one day I want to go over, Marble Hornets, but that'd be like an insanely long video. But it reminds me a lot of that, and I can see that they definitely were inspired by it. It makes the audience a part of the series and makes you care more when you're there experiencing it with the character within it that's experiencing it. And it helps expand it as well. And I definitely think, like I said, you should watch it for yourself if you haven't, and stay tuned to them for more. I, for one, want to know what happens next. But anyways, if you made it here and enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. And maybe even hype too. I've been Colton. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay safe.